Oh, we got pens. We got pens.
Just in that gold, the pink. Yeah.
Pass around. Grab a pen. Oh, great.
Got one. Thanks.
Anyone else want a pen? Oh, sorry. Big scale.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I needed to know the why. I needed to know why did I constantly am not able to absorb the goodness in my life. I had a great marriage. I had a man that loves me to death. Like, he worships the ground I walked on, but I just would always find some sort of fault with that. Like, nah, that's no way. You couldn't have loved me then. And I would sabotage that in any way that I could possibly do that, because I didn't want to be loved. I had abandonment issues. So I'm just going to stick it with the abandonment. That's that pain sitting right up next to me, right? So then I started to think there's got to be a scientific reason why, because I'm very logically minded. So I studied this. So what we've got up here is what we call the ventral vagal. Don't write it down, because, sorry, my writing's not as beautiful as Michelle's. And then we've got here what we call the sympathetic. Oh, this board. And then we've got here. Sorry, can everyone understand my handwriting? It's really bad, I know. So this is a ladder, and us as human beings in our nervous system, we run up and down this ladder every single day. Even me, right? Me, who now has her life together 15 years later. I run up and down this ladder all the time, but the difference is that I actually anchor up here. I don't know how you do an anchor, but that's my anchor, all right? I'm no artist. I think I made that quite clear on a Facebook post once, that I cannot draw. Okay, so I anchor up here all the time, but I run up and down all this time. So, ventral vagal. Ventral vagal is when we are grounded. This is my happy place. This is my world. This is where I get joy. I love helping people. I feel comfort in the world. I'm connected with people. That's ventral vagal, okay? And so I would call this place my happiness. That's the word I would give it. This is a scientific word, ventral vagal. That's my happy place. Sympathetic. We talk about fight and flight. Now, you would have heard that in, I think it was...
Emma?
Emma, yes. She talks about, and even Heather talked about it too, the fight and flight. That's our sympathetic part of our nervous system. So when I was living in my, pain, my pain loved to snug himself right up next to me, I didn't even get up here. I constantly ran here all the time. And then sometimes I might edge up here with one of my kids' birthdays, but then I'd plumber down here again. And I would just go like this, like this, like this. All right? So sympathetic. So this is where I'm in that fight and flight. I'm ready, right? Who's at me? I've got to go and get them, right? So my adrenals are going constantly. Or we might freeze. You know that whole man cave thing? We either freeze because the animal's coming towards us, or we're getting our spear ready to fly it at them. So that's where I would sit. Dorsal vagal, not my favourite place. Dorsal vagal is all about darkness. In my book I talk about running around in a windowless house. That's when I realised I was in a deep depression. So dorsal vagal is where it's dangerous for me. It's dark, it's horrible, it's disconnection, and Brené Brown, one of my favourites, she talks about vulnerability, right? And when we're not vulnerable, when we don't share our story, we're not being connected to other people, we're not being real to ourselves. And I certainly wasn't being real, because there was no way I was letting anybody know about my life. I just kept putting masks on and then running in between these, right? And so that's what I was doing. So obviously when I hit the suicide one, that's where my dorsal vagal was in full swing. And that's where I sat, and I didn't get up. So it took a while for me to get up. Now, this is what I do with some of my clients who are traumatized. I obviously don't get them to try and remember these names, because these names mean nothing to them. I get them to name them themselves, because it's really important to understand that with our emotions, we might not realise that you know, I think it was Emma that brought up how emotions are really important, and it's the dark ones that sometimes we avoid. We'll run the other way, like, oh my God, sadness is coming again, let's just not be hanging out there. You know, I'm about to head to a school concert. I don't need sadness sitting down next to me. I need to be pulling it together. So we just kind of try and run away from these emotions. And I think it's really important to understand how this nervous system's working at this point, right? So I get my clients to name them for them. So this was my happiness. This was my anxiety. Like, I suffered severely from anxiety, like to the point where I feel like I couldn't breathe. So I'd have panic attacks, and it could be triggers, certain triggers, like a certain smell would trigger me off and I'd have a panic attack. You know, but no one knew any of this was going on because I had this fantastic mask that I put on, right? And then the dorsal vagal, I called that the danger place. That was danger, it was darkness. It was like a dungeon down there, okay? So I get my clients to name their own parts of the ladder. So go ahead, name your own parts, what you would feel you would be anchored in. What's a word? Some people call it grounded, some people call it joy, happy. Sympathetic, the fight and flight. What do you want to name that? And dorsal vagal. So it's sort of understanding how our nervous system works as such.